Good morning, good morning. Hello, Clinton. How are you? It is nice to think of your face. I can't see your face, but I'm thinking of it. I am also thinking of our little adventure on the mountains. I'm also thinking of that classic clip that we will have for posterity of you backflipping the CRF on the mountain. I was looking back at my footage the other day and I came across that clip and I thought, oh my goodness. It's one of those things that looks very funny when you know that everybody was okay. But I remember at the time being significantly alarmed. Anyway, good morning from Thailand, another day in paradise. I'm looking slightly disheveled this morning. It has been a busy week. Yes, Clinton, I am talking about you. We miss you very much, and we're looking forward to the next adventure. Absolutely. In the meantime, I'm just behaving myself and selling some dirt bike parts here in Thailand. It's Saturday morning, so having my morning coffee, and I'm here to answer questions in case anybody should have any. For HiVolt spares, I found out that there was a small problem last week with the contact form on my webpage. So if anyone has been sending me a message and wondering why the hell I'm ignoring them, I'm not ignoring you. I just may not have gotten your message straight away last week. So ask me anything again because I am here to answer questions. Hey, how is everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Who's here? Let me know. Say hello in the chat so that I know who's here so that I can reminisce about the time you backflipped a CRF on a mountain as well. Because we must keep it fair for everyone, right? Hey, Tasha. Well, you never backflipped anything. So look, you're still winning. You got to come back and try again and see if we can backflip something for you and catch it on video. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, miss your face. So Tasha is an awesome motocross chick from America, and we went riding together, and it was the best fun ever. Because you know when you find someone and you're like, oh, these are my people, and you're like fanging through the woods, and you know it's just fun. You know they're going to be right there behind you, and every time you stop and you look at each other and you're just like, that was rad, and it's the best thing ever. So yeah, Tash is my spirit animal. We do love a bit of a fang through the woods on the dirt bikes. So can't wait to see you soon, dear. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. So I've been planning the adventures for the next season, and we're going to start in about October. So the rainy season is kicked in now, and the rainy season's kicked in, and so the jungle is getting really slippery, but really green, really beautiful. And we have some advanced riders coming over to see if they can stay upright and get up the mountain in the rainy season, which will be great. But yeah, then we'll have the good weather kicking off late October. Clinton says that he watched some of the videos and that I should get a retainer from Honda for making the 300 so capable. Well, I don't know if Honda would appreciate all of my feedback sometimes. I'm pretty sure Kawasaki don't appreciate my feedback so much for the KLX 230. And it's kind of the same case. I go online and I say, listen, the clutch on this bike is weak as dishwater, and you need to upgrade it. So I don't know if the factory necessarily appreciates my feedback on that front, but yes, we do have a lot of fun with those bikes, and we do make them super fun and super capable. Yeah, I've got another one in the garage and ready for its upgrades. And so I'm looking forward to that. Every time I do a fit out, I learn something new about the bike. So I've probably fitted out about maybe a dozen of the CRF 300L now, and it's given me a chance to thrash them around the bush and see what breaks and see what doesn't. And yeah, so it's getting better every day. Gas needs some feedback on the terrible seat. Yes, so Clinton originally started his tour on the Gas EC 300, which is a cracker of a bike. It's a 2-stroke dirt bike, and it's carburetted. It's got the Electron carb, and it's got Technics suspension, and it kicks, and it's so much fun. It is always trying to kill you a little bit. I mean, as you'd expect from a 300cc 2-stroke. But, I think that's totally worth it for the fun factor you get. And so, yeah, unfortunately, Clinton then had to upgrade or downgrade as you see it to the CRF 300L because the seat comfort on the 2-stroke was apparently not as good as a small plank of wood. So, yeah, I believe that Clinton, or at least Clinton's ass, has never forgotten that experience. But as I always say, comfort is the enemy. Comfort is the enemy. Yes, indeed. Actually, both of you have been to some pretty good spots. You've both been to the hot springs, which I believe was the destination we were riding to when you found that the gas seat was unable to be withstood. Clinton points out that I am not yet 60, but some days I feel like it. This morning I woke up and I was moving slowly, I can assure you. It's been busy. I'm telling myself, if I get all the business paperwork sorted, then there'll be nothing for me to do except get out there and ride motorbikes. So this is the objective. I will be cleared to be back on the enduro bikes this month. Tash says she just wanted to be able to touch the ground. Well, like you saw the other day, we have the KLX 140 small wheel edition. So you can probably touch the ground pretty good on that one. It's not like... So they're actually pretty good little bikes, right? Because the KLX 140 is actually a dirt bike. The one you were riding last time Tasha was riding the KLX 230S, which is the low C-high of the 230 Dual Sport. But the KLX 140 is it's a dirt bike. On one hand, you don't have any papers for it, but on the other hand, you don't have to deal with all of the extraneous crap like lights and things like that you don't need. So it's a light little bike. It's a dirt bike from a start, and actually they're super capable. Really strong components. They're built for punishment. And so the small wheel edition will get you that little bit closer to the ground. But the thing I like, and this is where I was going with this, is that they have decent clearance even with the small wheel edition. So you're not dragging your skid plate on the ground even though you're a little bit closer to real estate. So yeah. Oh, look, Tash is the queen of not being able to touch the ground. Absolutely the queen of it. One toe down, your ass off one side, and one toe onto the ground. For sure. I have mad respect for Tash's ability to ride anything. But of course, the problem is just when you stop. As long as you're moving, there's no problem. It's just when you stop that the gravity can be a bitch sometimes. And especially if I stop suddenly in front of you in a bad place and you can't get your foot down, I feel bad about that. Yes, Tash is a great motocrosser. So she's going to teach me how to do motocross jumps without actually destroying myself, which will be excellent. We have a motocross track here in Chiang Mai, And actually, we have a couple of them. Yeah, some of them are they're not huge. They're not like supercross tracks, but yeah, you can get out there in the bush and get on the jumps. And yeah, I need Tash to just show me how to keep that front wheel up, because we were doing some jumping through the rice paddies together, and my form was not excellent. My form was far from excellent. Indeed. Yeah, but if anyone has any questions about spare parts, or like where are their spare parts, or have I made their spare parts yet? Have I sent them? How do they install it? All of this stuff, just let me know, because I'm here to assist. So in other news, I usually, so I still have my Australian KTM here in Thailand, which is always a little bit interesting from a paperwork perspective, because you only get 30 days at a time on the temporary import permit here. And the reason that I have been jumping through all these hoops to keep my bike legal is because I still want to ride it through India. I want to ride it through Iran. And for those countries, I definitely need to have a current carnet. And in order to have a current carnet, I'm going to need to have the bike with current registration in some jurisdiction, preferably Australia, because they're the people who keep issuing me carnets. Anyway, so the carnet is this fabulous yellow document. It is sometimes considered to be a magic bullet. Sometimes people think that if they get the yellow carnet, which is very expensive, depending on whether you have to leave a bond for it or you pay for the insurance, it's still going to cost you like $1,000 every year. It allows you to cross some borders without having to import or your bike or pay import duties. It's a customs document. However, the thing that is really important to remember is that it only works in countries which are signatories to the convention under which the carnet is made. So, relevantly for me, Indonesia and India and Iran are countries which are signatories to that convention. So, I definitely need to have my carnet for those countries. However, my bike is now more than 5 years old, which means it needs an annual inspection in Australia, in New South Wales. And up until this point, I have been, for the last 7 years, I have been sending them a 40-point safety check, which has been signed off from a reputable authority in whatever country I happen to be located. But unfortunately, last time I did that, they wrote back and they said, listen, we're not going to accept this again. They said, you have to do your next safety inspection in Australia. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, because the cost of shipping my 2012 KTM with 100,000 kilometers on it back to Australia is going to be probably about the same value as the bike itself. And then my bike will be in Australia, which is not where I want it to be. So that is a dilemma. Yeah, so I may be changing travel bikes in the near future, and that's going to require a lot more jumping through circuses and circuses of hoops for the paperwork purposes. But I will keep you updated. If anyone is interested in motorcycle travel and the documents required to cross borders, let me know. I've done it in a few places, so I can probably help with a few things. Yeah. Oh, hi, Brian. I am so glad that you love the idle screw mod for the KLX 230. Me too. I absolutely love that. The manual idle screw for the KLX 230, which smooths out that variable and high automatic idle. It's my favorite part of that bike as well, because the automatic idle is my least favorite part of that bike. So the first time I bought that bike, I bought the KLX 230, and it was the first bike I ever bought new. And I was it was very exciting. It was a milestone in my life. I bought myself this new KLX 230, and I went out there the first time and I rode it. And northern Thailand is like this. The gradients are steep. So you go up the steep hill, you come down the steep hill. And I discovered very, very quickly that coming downhill, I seem to have no engine braking because, it's a 4-stroke. You expect to have engine braking, except instead of nice low revs when I rolled off the throttle, actually the ECU was doing this strange and surprising thing, strange and surprising to me at the time, where it would raise the idle irregularly, theoretically so that the bike couldn't stall. But actually, that's not what you want when you're heading down a steep, steep hill. You really want your idle low, and you want to have engine braking happening instead of actual acceleration. And I thought, this bike is trying to kill me. And by the end of the ride of having actual acceleration as I tried to brake going downhill instead of engine braking, I was almost ready to, I thought, I've made this terrible mistake. I need to sell this bike immediately because it's the worst bike in the world because it's trying to kill me. And I was devastated. And then a few days later, I discovered that I could fix it with the manual idle screw. And after that, I've loved the bike ever since. But yeah, there was this awkward spot. There was this awkward spot where I nearly sold my brand new bike because I was so horrified with the automatic idle. So yeah, I'm happy to be spreading the manual idle adjusted goodness around the world. We have a question. What's happening with the graphics kits? Graphics kits. Yes, that is actually an excellent question because I was doing a little audit last night, and there's a few graphics kits that need to go out, and they haven't gone out because, as I said before, the graphics kit supplier that I had before, the price was right and they were very nice, but I wasn't necessarily very happy with how the colors were printing on their materials. I didn't feel like they were coming out really true. And I didn't want to be sending out sort of suboptimal decal sets for the KLX 230. So yes, I have samples coming in from other suppliers now, and assuming that I'm going to be really happy with their work, the graphics kits will be heading out soon. Yes, and I apologize for the delay with that, and I thank you all for being very, very patient, because I do appreciate it. Brian, yeah, exactly. The first time you ride the KLX 230, you think it's trying to kill you, but the manual idle screw sorts it right out. I'm just reading through the chat and it's making me happy. We've got some great people here this morning. Got Clinton, got Tash, got Brian. Oh my gosh. So for those who just joined, Clinton and Tash are both legends who have come to Thailand and ridden with me and survived. So not only that, there are also plans afoot for them to do it again. So in Clinton's case, we're going to do a tour of Indonesia, which is going to be amazing. We're going to head out to eastern Indonesia. We're going to head out through Flores and do some of that incredible diving over in that part of the world. And hopefully I can also put a bit of Sulawesi in that itinerary as well. And Tash is going to come and ride dirt bikes with me sometime, somewhere, really soon, I hope, because that will be mad fun. With the graphic kits, please, if you do have the email on hand, please send it through, and that'll make sure that I'm on top of it for sure. And that'll be good. I'll get that sorted out. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Chiang Mai, and Saturday mornings are actually kind of good because I have time to myself. So Sunday is ride day. Every other day of the week, there's always a million things to be doing, and I have a great team here, so we're always working together to sell dirt bike parts and fit out dirt bikes, and we're putting together tour itineraries and all the other stuff. But on Saturday morning, it's this lull. So in Thailand, actually, normally most full-time jobs mean you work 6 days a week, not 5 days a week. So if you're like a teacher or you work for the government, okay, you only work 5 days a week. But most people actually work 6 days a week. So they work Monday to Saturday and only have Sunday off, which I think is, it's not enough time for people to like rest and rejuvenate and enjoy their lives. So for my employees, I tell them, listen, I want you to take your full weekend off. So I always am usually on my own on a Saturday, but soon I won't be alone on a Saturday because as of next week, I have a new employee who's going to start, and she's going to work Tuesday through to Saturday. So she'll still have her full 2 days off. She'll have Sunday and Monday off, but she'll be here to help me ship out motorcycle parts and idle screws on Saturday mornings as well. So that'll be good. Yeah, I think it's everything in life is, it all comes back to good relationships. It comes back to looking after the people in your life, taking care of your friends, and thinking about other people's well-being. And so as an employer and as a friend, this is what I try to do. So I think it's the key to everything. I mean, my business is based on community. I don't go out there and run ads to advertise to random people I've never met before. I rely on networks that spread around the world with the great motorcycling community, which is really wonderful. So when people come to Thailand as well, we sort of provide a one-stop shop for them to get everything sorted. So some of you will know, some of you will not know. We also have a hotel here in Chiang Mai. It's very lovely. It's got this beautiful saltwater swimming pool. It's all built out of teak wood. It's really gorgeous. Really fluffy pillows. It's a super nice hotel. But even better, we have this fantastic downstairs undercover parking area for your motorbikes. So down here, we've got my office as well. So I'm always around. And you can park your motorbike, you can work on your motorbike in the shade, in the shelter. And yeah, so you can stay. This can be sort of your home away from home. And if you need to leave your bike here in Thailand, I'll look after it for you. I'll keep it in the showroom. I'll keep the battery going. I'll make sure your gear's all safe and secure and everything's ready to go for you when you get back. You can call me up and say, hey, Grace, service my bike for me. I'll be back in a month. And everything will be serviced and done when you get off the plane. And yeah, if you need to get a visa or you need to do a bike transfer or you need to buy a bike and fit out a bike, I can help with all those things. So instead of just, going out and being like, hey, you can pay me money for a tour, we approach it differently in the sense that we want to be surrounded by people who love motorbikes. So if we can do something for you to make your riding experience in northern Thailand more fun, then we're here for it. And yeah, we have many talents. We have many talents. Oh, Brian, did you like the titanium full exhaust system? Yeah. So my fabricator who makes the HiVolt exhausts, he is a magician. I mean, I geek out completely over his welds, just those fish scale welds, and he really does a beautiful job. And since I put that titanium exhaust on my KLX 230, I've been so stoked because I've sort of been saving up for that for some time. So I've been selling the full titanium system. But for me, I was like keeping costs down and I was running the full stainless system. But I've had massive envy over that full titanium for so long because it is so beautiful, but also it's so light. It's like I said, it's like 2.8 kilos for the whole full system with the header and everything. And yeah, anything I can do to improve my power to weight ratio feels good on that bike. So yeah, I was so stoked. So there's actually a story for what precipitated me to swap out the exhaust on that bike. And why not? The story is that I trusted somebody who is a very good rider. They said they needed to borrow my bike, and I trusted them to borrow it because I knew that they're a very good rider, and the bike would come back in good condition if they rode it. And I said, nobody else is allowed to ride this bike, just me and just one particular friend who specifically asked. I said, nobody else rides this bike, nobody, because it's my bike. It's my personal bike. It's special. And anyway, the bike came back. It had been ridden by somebody else, and it was trashed. And I was devastated. And, like, I do stupid things on my bikes all the time. I do really dumb things on my bikes. I'm always upside down in a bush somewhere. But I never did damage like this. And I got this bike back, and the skid plate was toast. The plastics were broken. The exhaust was toast. The handguards were ruined. The bars were crooked. I was just like, and the rear brake reservoir was nearly broken off. And I was like, what has happened to this bike? And I was really devastated. And every time I looked at my bike after that, I would think about how upset I was that somebody who I trusted with my bike did this to it. Especially somebody who understands that your own bike is special. I mean, he would never have allowed this to happen to his bike, but he did it to my bike after I specifically said that no one else was to ride it. And I felt really betrayed by that. And, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's just a bike. But at the same time, it was, like I said, it was the first new bike I ever bought. I bought it with my own money. I worked hard to have that bike, and I worked hard to fit it out, to see what worked. And it was really important to me that I always knew what had happened to this bike. Like, when I go out on the mountain, I want to know, what condition is my clutch in? Has it been abused? How long is it going to last? Am I going to get stuck on the mountain? I want to know about things like that. And I do know about things like that with my bike because I'm the only person who's done stupid things to it. So I know about all of them. And I know about what I've done to fix them or prevent them. And in this case, that control was taken away from me, and I was really devo. So every time I looked at the bike, I looked at its fucked up bash plate, and I looked at its fucked up exhaust, and I looked at the broken plastics, and I felt so sad about it. And so I thought, listen, now is the time to do the upgrades that I've been wanting to do. So I pulled off the messed up exhaust, I pulled off the messed up bash plate, replaced the plastics, straightened the bars, and I put that new bash plate on, and I put the titanium exhaust. And it's worked a treat as well. So now when I look at the bike, instead of having this thought of, oh my God, I'm devastated that somebody fucked up my bike and betrayed my trust, now the thought I have is titanium. Ooh, pretty. So that's the story of what actually prompted me to finally indulge my my long-standing desire to have the full titanium system on my bike. And I'm really stoked with it. Yeah. So Clinton, I'm so glad your nephew loves it. Yeah, so I sent Clinton's nephew a full titanium system for his CRF 300 rally. And so they're open exhaust, so they're not very quiet. Clinton says he thunders all over town with it. They're super light and they're well made. They look beautiful. They sound good. They're not subtle, but there is another decibel killer you can put in if you want to be a bit more subtle. But it's going to make the bike breathe so much better. You really notice it in the upper to mid-rev ranges. You get way better throttle response. Not when you're like in neutral and the engine's not under load, but once you actually engage the drivetrain and the engine's under load, you really notice that your throttle response comes back way crisper and it kicks way better. Yeah. So anyway, does anybody have any extra questions? Because otherwise, I'm probably just going to go and finish my coffee, and probably I might go and admire my titanium exhaust again, because it is nice. And I haven't taken it out yet to really scratch it up. So it's still looking pretty pristine. Actually, speaking of titanium exhausts, I have one right here. Let me show you. Here's one of the mufflers for the CRF 300L. Isn't it beautiful? It's got the HiVolt name on it and everything, and it is just the way I like it. So I'm very proud to be sending these out into the world. Yeah, so full titanium. You've got your carbon tip, HiVolt. The header has the power bomb expansion chamber, and it's light and beautiful. So I'm really proud of that, actually. Sometimes I think to myself, isn't it extraordinary that I have gone from the kid, the daughter that my father thought would never be any good at riding motorbikes or fixing motorbikes or understanding anything about motorbikes. I went from being the useless daughter to having my own line of motorbike parts and knowing a thing or two about them. Not everything, but that's a work in progress. It's kind of cool sometimes when you look back and you realize how far you've come. Yeah, so Mike would like to know, how's the rear shock of the KLX 230? Have I got one in stock? And the answer is, it's ready to roll. It's ready to roll. So I have the new shock for my KLX 230, which has been developed and tested by my fantastic suspension guy here in Chiang Mai. We've done some testing and we are both happy with where it's at. It's adjustable, it's fully rebuildable, and it's a great shock. What we're going to do is, for every customer, you need to tell me your weight, and you need to tell me whether you carry gear, and you need to tell me whether what kind of riding you do. So I want to understand whether you're doing slow speed technical enduro, or if you're doing like motocross style jumps. I need to understand that so that we can set up the suspension for your weight and your riding style. So yeah, that's the first step. So send me a message, let me know your weight and your riding style, and I can actually get one of those shocks happening for you. Now, the price point, I have not yet listed it on my site. I don't have beautiful photos of it yet because I have the one which I've installed on my bike. But obviously it's installed on my bike, which kind of makes it hard to take a photo of it. All you can see is, oh, there's a little bit of spring in there. So yeah, there's not much to look at externally. So I do need to take some beautiful photos of the new shock for the KLX 230. And once I do that, the listing will be up on the website, and you'll be able to see all the glorious details. So the rear shock, the price point for the rear shock is going to be, this is going to be including shipping. So I'm gonna try and ship it express. And so this should be delivered to your door in America, for example, by UPS or elsewhere by DHL. And so the full cost is going to be $3.99 US. So that's including the cost of the product and all the shipping costs as well. Yeah. Clinton, how much is the titanium kit for the KLX? Clinton has a friend in Chiang Mai that needs one. Do you have a friend in Chiang Mai who needs a KLX 230 full exhaust system? The full system for the titanium for the KLX is let me double check because I am still sleepy this morning. Titanium. Okay, so your titanium full exhaust with the power bomb. Yeah, so this is including international shipping again. So that's express international shipping. That is $590 for the full system in titanium, which is a lot more expensive than the stainless system. The stainless system is only $380, but $590 is the price for the titanium because titanium is expensive. But you know, it's such a great light material, so I think it's totally worth it. No shipping. So if we take the shipping off, I think we're going to be looking at about 15,000 baht. Yeah, 15,000 baht is about what it looks like with no shipping. Clinton. I have a suspicion that Clinton is being very nice to me, and this is part of a pattern of being very nice to me. So I feel very lucky. Yeah. So Mike, the rear shock. If you decide that's up your alley, if you decide that's what you want, just let me know. It's going to take a week or so for my suspension guy to set it up for your weight and your riding style, and then I'll get it headed your way. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting because I think that suspension upgrades, you can never go wrong with them. It's always it's so much more important than power. I mean, being able to reduce the weight of your bike is super important. But after that, I'm always looking at suspension upgrades because it doesn't really matter how powerful your bike is if it doesn't handle properly. And, you know, your suspension is doing more than making it easier for you to handle the bike. It's using your resources appropriately. So if you have less power but better suspension, you're going to be able to put that power down to the rear wheel and get traction a whole lot better than you are, with bad suspension. With bad suspension, you can have a whole bunch of extra horsepower and it will do you no good at all. So yeah, suspension upgrades, totally worth it. Totally worth it. So yeah, so now on my KLX, I've got the front fork kit with the small boots, which are going to improve your compression and rebound. I've got the adjustable preload as well. And then on the rear, I've now got the fully adjustable rear shock, which has been set up for my weight. And so I'm feeling pretty special. Yeah. Mike says the rear shock is like a pogo stick. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people say to me, they say, listen, the suspension on the KLX 230 is too soft. They say on the front, I'm bottoming out. On the back, it's like a pogo stick. And they ask me for upgraded springs. And, we've sort of explored this option. But the bottom line is pogo stick effect is bad. And making the springs just stronger is not really going to sort that out. So that's why when we do the front fork kit, we don't change the springs. Other manufacturers do, and they have, nice progressive springs and that sort of thing. I'm not saying it's terrible, but the best result you get for a simple modification at a really reasonable price point is actually not going to be anything to do with your springs. Keep the stock springs, and you're going to install those boots so you can revalve for better compression, better rebound, a stiffer effect. and you're going to upgrade your fork oil to 20 weight and things like that, and that's going to, I really think that gives a much better result than just putting heavier springs and making things like a stronger pogo stick as opposed to a weak pogo stick. So yeah. Yeah, so Clinton's saying maybe we should get PLR to video a ride, and then we can see the difference before and after with the new shocks. I don't know if you can see it in a video, but you can certainly feel it when you ride. Especially with the front end, it feels so much more accurate. Your front end feels more accurate once you enhance that compression rebound with the kit. I just felt like before, I put my front wheel approximately where I wanted it. It would be like a bit wallowy. It would be really soft. And then we would sort of bounce up out of one place and into the next place. And it was kind of uncontrolled. Whereas now I feel that the front end is much more precise. I can put it exactly where I want it. The feedback I get is more consistent, and it really just gives you a lot more confidence when you're hitting things a bit faster and taking, a little bit of a bigger risk. It's much more reliable, consistent, and responsive. And so I really think that's worthwhile. Oh, cool. So Mike says that the fork kit actually worked well for him as well. So I'm so pleased about that. Yeah, leave me a 5-star review for that one. That'd be awesome. Yeah. So yeah, suspension is awesome. Always upgrade your suspension. But I'm also a big fan of figuring out the economical ways to do it, because the thing to keep in mind with the KLX 230 is it's not an expensive bike, and you can spend your life savings on suspension if you want to. I know that quite a few people like to swap out the front end on the KLX 230R for like a KX set of forks. And if you have an old set of KX forks around, then that's great as well. But in terms of really upgrading, it does not make sense to go to town too hard on your KLX 230. I mean, you can put white power forks on your KLX 230, but then your forks are going to be worth more than the rest of your bike. And you may as well put those forks on a KTM. If we're going to go and drop that much money for performance, then you may as well get the whole package. So there's a threshold where, so the kind of suspension solutions that I'm trying to make for the KLX 230, there's solutions which are going to significantly improve your suspension performance, but they're also not going to cost you as much as, I should have just bought a KTM. So yeah, we're trying to keep it reasonable. We're trying to keep it value for money, and we're still trying to keep things get that performance well up there. And I really think you can get this bike to a happy place where they perform well. They're very popular here for enduro races. The extreme enduro races, they're always won by the little KLXs, the air-cooled ones. So the KLX 140, KLX 150 BF, and KLX 230. Yeah, so my camera is flashing. You are correct, Gary. You're also correct about KTM keep throwing money. Although, look, in defense of my KTM, it has served me well. I've got the 690 Enduro, and I put 100,000 Ks on it. And the main thing I've had to throw money at was rocker arms. But as long as you throw a little bit of money at your rocker arms and keep them in good nick, then most of the rest of the bike has been pretty good. One of the things that I learnt on my KTM here in Asia has been that there's always more than one way to skin a cat. So if you have a KTM and you have a problem with it and you want to do a KTM fix on it, that's going to cost you a lot of money. But if you're like me and you're like somewhere in Cambodia and your radiator's leaking, for example, I'm not going to freak out and buy another KTM radiator and mortgage a kidney for it. I'm going to go down, I'm going to find some guy with a welder and be like, listen, bro, can you weld up my radiator? That's exactly what I did, worked a treat, never had a problem again. So always more than one way to skin a cat. And for sure, my KTM is not the most beautiful KTM in the world anymore, but it works. It works well. And it has had a pretty cheap life. So 100,000 Ks, it's except for the rocker arms, it's never been rebuilt. And that's not bad on a 690cc big single. It's under a lot of pressure there. But yeah. Oh, a 1972 Elsinore CR250. Oh, but the CR250 is a classic bike. Keep throwing money at those. Those are going to throw some money back to you, though, because the CR250s are going to be, I mean, they're worth a quid now as well. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so camera battery is going, as you point out, Gary. So if I disappear in half a second, that will be why. Yeah. Anyway, restoring two strokes, throwing money at old two strokes. I will never tell you not to do that because this is what life is all about. I've got my NSR 150 RR to finish restoring. I had this idea in the rainy season that, and in the burning season, I was going to restore the NSR, but it turns out that I've been busy bolting bits onto KLXs and CRFs instead. So there's that. It may have to wait for the next burning season, but the bike is going to be a cracker because when I bought this bike for 7,000 baht. And, it's a 150cc two-stroke, but it's tiny. The power-to-weight ratio is off the hook. And so, and you can't really stop. The brakes are terrible. And you don't have any torque at all. So you've got to wind it up and you've got to keep going and you cannot slow down. But once you wind it up, that bike will move. And so, yeah, I am really looking forward to doing stupid things on the two-stroke NSR, maybe next year after I find the time to finish its restoration. So that'll be a lot of fun. There are quite a few NSR 150s around in Thailand that they're just underappreciated here. The little two-stroke road bikes, everyone's like, oh, it's just an old bike. It's not worth anything. Why would you want that? And, well, I told you why I want that. I mean, how else are you going to hit, 160 kilometers an hour with 7,000 baht? So, yeah, that's why I want one. Absolutely. And, yeah, so it's easy to find donor bikes. So I might actually end up owning several NSR 150s so that I can actually just make one complete bike out of all the bits. And that won't break the bank. So I'm looking forward to that, and it'll be a good educational project as well because I've never gone through a process of restoring a bike from scratch that really needed a lot of work like this bike. So it will be very educational for me. Clinton. Oh no, 6 pistons, countless rings, and 3 cases of Blu-ray two-stroke. Teenage bliss. Listen, on that note, 6 pistons, countless rings, two-stroke teenage bliss. I'm going to leave you all to it. I'm going to thank you very much for showing up. It's been a delight. Let me know any more questions before I head off to drink more coffee and admire my titanium exhaust again. I shall be heading off, and I shall see you soon. Bye.